All right, student, a very interesting question. Now, this question is from the concept of relative motion. Slightly complicated kind of question, but I will tell you a way to simplify it. But we need to think logically, right? It's very uh, different type of question when it comes to relative motion, especially because the relative acceleration has to be calculated. So let's read the question very carefully before I start solving it. So if you see, this is an inclined plane. You have a block of some mass A, and this is another block which is B, and the inclined angle of both the blocks is different. The question is, what is the relative acceleration of A with respect to B? Which means when if you have the observer on the B, how does he view it, right? So, see, generally when we solve the questions of relative motion, we have more uh, things like relative velocity, which makes it a bit easy, right? But I still treat this as an easy question because I treat everything as a vector. To me, a lot of physics is solved, can be solved using vectors. So let's think through as to how we can tackle this problem by using the knowledge of vectors. So assume this was a vector, right? So what would be? I will just reduce the size of the question so that we could probably have some space to write, right? All right. So I have ample space to write now. Now, if you think through this, right, the uh, this is coming down with g sine 60, right? Which we already know. Inclined plane, this acceleration on an incline due to gravity, the component is g sine. And this is coming down with g cos, sorry, g sine 30. Why it should be cos, right? No reason. Sine 30. So we know that individual accelerations, what are we supposed to do? We are supposed to find the relative. So I will write a vectorial way of writing because I told you the whole question is vector oriented. So I'm going to use vectors, right? So relative acceleration of A with respect to B as a vector is acceleration of A minus the acceleration of B. Right? So far, so good. So which means A is a vector form. If I look into this vector, right, something like this, how do I resolve these vectors into two parts? The two parts are, if I have to write if I have to write one of the parts of AA is going to be the part which is, so I'm just drawing the figure. Okay? So this is my G sine 60. This is my vector. And this vector is something like this. Okay, so this is 60 degree. Don't worry about the inclination. It is still 60 degree. This is my vector, right? So one of my component, which is horizontal component, is g sine 60 cos 60, right? 60. And the other component I have is, so this is my horizontal component. So this is AX. Now I have to find AAY, which is this component, right? So this is downward again. So this is G sine 60. And since this is, so this is the vector I'm resolving, this also becomes sine 60, right? So this, so I'm able to resolve this particular acceleration into two parts. Let's go to the next figure, right? So let's think how do we solve the next one. So this one is 30 degrees. Okay, so this is your 30 degree, and this is the vector which is g sine 30. Okay, I will resolve g sine 30 into two parts. One part which is this, so this is straightforward g sine 30 and cos 30, right? The horizontal part, rightward. What about this? This is G sine 30 and sine 30 vertically. So I've been able to resolve even B x can be written as G sine 30 and cos 30, right? Now let's talk about A, B, Y, right? So which is this particular component. I'm just rewriting this, doing nothing as a step. This is sine 30. Now, if you notice, for me to do relative acceleration, I need to actually, this is what I need to do. I need to write the AAX minus ABX, right? So X component comes like this, right? Because we will have to subtract the X components first, right? And then we will subtract the Y component. So which is ABY minus A, sorry, I have to write AAY minus IBY. Why? Because it is A with respect to B, so it has to be minus B. I have to nullify the presence of B. The B has to go off, right? This is what it means. With respect to, because I want to neutralize the value of B and adjust it to get the relative velocity. Now let's talk about it, right? So if you see the expressions, okay, I'll just write it here. AAX is G sine 60 cos 60, right? Sine 60 cos 60. So this is G root 3 by 2 into 1 by 2. I have to subtract this part, right? Which is what? Which is G sine 30 cos 30. So this comes from B, right? I'm not talking about this particular expression. So minus, this is G by 2 into root 3 by 2. So do you see that the first part, which is the x part, anyway cancels. So this goes away, right? So let's think through the vertical parts now. What are the vertical parts? These are the vertical parts. So this is the vertical part. So I have to do A minus B again. So G sine 60 minus G sine 30 cos 30 is equal to G into root 3 by 2 into root 3 by 2. Mind you, I am working on the y-axis now. The x-axis has been tackled. Minus G root 3 by 2 and root 3 by 2, right? So this is, so I will just repeat. We were doing the subtraction of y-axis. On the y-axis, what we have done is g root 3 by 2, root 3 by 2 minus g 1 by 2 into 1 by 2. This is for the by, right? And this is for the ay, the accelerations we have written. I am subtracting it. So this is 3 by 4. So this becomes 3. Okay, I'll just solve it. I'll just rub this off so that you can see it clearly. So I hope you can see this clearly. This is all it. I think I'm verge of exhausting the board. So this is 3 minus 1 is equal to g by 2. So the correct answer is g by 2 only in y-axis. G by 2 only in y-axis. I hope this is making sense to you. That this is g by 2 in y-axis. 4.9, that's the correct answer in vertical. X-axis, both the accelerations were same. Neutralization. A minus B 0 in X. But when I did the same thing for Y-axis, I got a relative acceleration to be 4.9 meter per second square in the vertical direction. So I hope you enjoyed this question. Slightly difficult question to do. Nonetheless, watch my playlist on relative motion. You will find some conceptual understanding kind of questions which will help you build the concept, and also watch my playlist where you can see a lot of questions being solved. Please don't forget to join my community. Fantastic questions given. They will really help you improve your performance in the examination. The reason is the conceptual clarity reduces the level of stress. Lesser is the stress because of clarity. Better is the performance in the examination. Otherwise, you will feel frustrated. So don't forget to subscribe to this channel and do the daily practice with me, and also watch the concept building videos which I've put. Thank you very much.